Hey YouTube, this is The Art of Prepping. So what's the difference between a bug out bag, also known as a bob, and a survival pack? Sometimes they call them inch bags. I'm never coming home. And those are just different acronyms. There's a lot of different kinds. But in a nutshell, the bug out bag is usually a 72-hour bag to help you egress from one location to get to your bug out location, a BOL. Now, this particular situation would involve a resupply at, of course, your bug out location. So the kit isn't going to be required to have you to endure for a long period of time out of the bag. So it's not going to have like an unlimited amount of resources by any means, very limited. Some bug out bags I have seen go up to 5 days, and only in very extreme situations I've seen people up to 7 days. It's a much more non-traditional bag set up for a bob. Those are individuals that typically live in very rural areas and or in mountainous terrain and have maybe very difficult type of weather, maybe such as like ice storms or snowstorms, and they need that redundancy. Now, in terms of the survival pack, these are by definition something that typically has a minimum duration of survivability of 1 to 2 weeks. It's much more like 2 weeks though when you really look into most of the forums and read the literature. And also even what people talk about is that this is a pack that if you had to, you could live pretty much long term. Some people even say indefinitely. But for most people though, once the supplies runs out in the bag, and your luck runs out in procuring, safe water and food, you're done. And so for most people, this isn't going to last indefinitely at all. Maybe a month or two at max for most people, maybe 3. But the thing is, if you get about 2 weeks pretty solid without too much effort, and it gives you the means to also replenish a lot of your supplies, such as your food and water, through like water filters and different methodologies, and food procurement, such as fishing, snare baiting, different hunting techniques and trapping. You'd also probably have a lot of different foraging activities and a lot of skills that you would definitely want to know to make this bag really as optimum as you possibly can. Now, we've gone over categories of prepping before in a very general term, but more specifically in this video, I just wanted to highlight these categories for that so-called survival bag or pack. I haven't personally gone over my survival pack, which is very different than my bob or bug out bag. I may not actually show it, at least right now or in the near term, just because for OPSEC reasons, for confidentiality and discretion, I'm not so sure if I want to show it. Sometimes there's things that I show that you may ask, like, well, why did you show your everyday carry? That kind of blows your discretion right there, or your bob, or your get home bag, or your EDC bag. The reality is that I do rotate among a lot of gear, and as I may have explained at least in one other video, within a few days or at least a few weeks in my packs, the packs are going to look a lot different than in my videos. So as of this moment, my packs are not the same as in my videos. So I'm not really showing my my redundancies or capabilities really. So just be mindful of that. I am kind of also, when I do my EDC videos, which I haven't done one in a long time, hopefully in the next month I'll do another one. Typically I do hold back 1 or 2 items that I don't really talk about, and they typically are of a self-defense item. So I don't always disclose everything in my videos just for security reasons, but even if I did, within a matter of days or a week at the most for my everyday carry, it would be different because I rotate and I get new things on an ongoing basis. Now, in terms of other packs, they change a little slower, but every 1 to 2 weeks there's at least a new item, introduced or taken out of the pack, and things mixed up. Maybe things in one pack gets moved a little bit more into another pack, so that changes as well. But back to the topic at hand, the survival packs. This is a more long-term hardy pack with a lot more redundancies, much more so than in a bug out bag. Now, in terms of the different categories to consider in your survival pack, you obviously have the pack itself, which you should obviously acquire at the very end of getting all your other supplies, so you know what size of pack you need. And you should always try it on instead of going, don't want to order it online. You want to know how it feels, so you need to go in store to get your bug out type of, survival pack, or even your bug out bag. Either one, you definitely want to go in the store to try it out. So your pack is your first, category. It's like your vessel, your holding container. And then I'm gonna go kind of fast through the rest of these here. So you definitely want various options in the following: shelter, fire, water, purification and procurement and storage, food storage and procurement, first aid, that means your basic and trauma, personal protection, hygiene, clothing, cooking, tools, navigation, signaling, lighting, communication, any kind of sub kit that you want that they can complement your everyday carry, and resource kits such as your IDs, any kind of cash or other denomination of money or currency, any kind of like birth certificates or copies of that, social security card copies, bank statements, maybe it has something to do with insurance policies, whatever it is that's important to you, put that in your resource kit. And that should be also in a waterproof container or bag. Energy options, it could be a hand crank, it could be whatever you think that you need. It could just be batteries that you have, backup batteries. An escape and evasion kit, it could be a very simple kit, just some lock picks sets, or maybe just a bobby pin, or whatever you're into and that you're proficient with. And of course some barter items. In a bag of this size, and it's going to be so weighed down, mostly with lots of various tools and food, probably be the highest weight items, and at least category wise, you're probably going to have a minimal amount of barter items. So it is important though to consider though the things that you pick, especially those tools to procure food and clean your water. This is going to be very, very important. Also, your shelter options should not be ignored in terms of its quality of what you pick. If you do pick a tent system, be mindful of, is it a 3-season tent system, 4-season, is it just 1 season? I mean, some tents they just don't do well in cold, and some of them don't do too well in the heat because they may overheat. So there's just all kinds of tents. Most of them are pretty versatile though, for the most part. At least the modern day tents. But some of my older tents though, they kind of don't do well in certain environments and certain seasons. And lastly, like the tarp systems, for example, is another example of of quality issues. You can get like a Harbor Freight tarp that it may last like a month or two in harsh weather if you're lucky, and versus maybe a higher quality tarp, of a higher quality nylon that may last 5 to 6 months. So you do kind of get what you pay for, and you also get quite a bit of a weight reduction too on your tarps, typically on the higher end ones, because they just use lighter weight material, but they're as strong, if not stronger, than the bulkier ones you would get maybe at a big box store. So that concludes this little bit of a discussion here about the difference between a bug out bag and a survival pack, the categories that should go into your survival pack, and of course you could also use those as a primer or an outline for your bug out bag. But just remember though, the survival pack is a much more hardy pack, has a lot more redundancies and capabilities. So because you're not going to rendezvous or go to an actual location to resupply, such as a bug out location. As always, you guys take care. Catch you real soon.